So I just think it's something that we need to address as a board, as a unified front.
I know,
not just for
the meeting to order at 7:30. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I know this last letter states that we're spending almost $500,000 on just 2 township roads, and then says that we're increasing the township roads from around 142,000 to 485,000, and the taxpayers are the ones that will have to pay for that increase. The levy is absolutely not changing a penny from last year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago to this year, and the amount of money we've had in reserve is way out of line with what we should have, and we can do a lot of projects that we need to do, including 50th and improving 33rd west of County 4, a lot of crack sealing and so on, without killing our budget and without having to raise levy. So it's very deceiving, and I'm sure some people that don't follow what the township's doing are probably pretty scared about seeing that we're almost 3.5 times increase of our township budget.
And Gene, that being said, with the roads, well, this is kind of off topic, so maybe I don't want to go there, but we've got a lot of catch up to do. I've done many months of presentations explaining where we're at with our roads, and they're in poor condition. I'll just say that the paved roads are in very poor condition.
Mr. Chair, this is Jason.
Absolutely.
If I could just briefly, Bill, is this one individual?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Well, I take that back. There is one individual sending out the email, the letters, but there are others who are propping up false allegations to make other board members look as though, for example, Dave Persing with his venue up there, the inaccuracies and how it was reported about him and the other one is not him not living in the township. And then also this spring, he was brought up on campaign violations, which he had nothing to do with. The judge threw it out. So there's all these little roadblocks that are being thrown out, and the public is seeing this. The public is being given misinformation, and I don't know how long this can continue.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is something I think I'd have to see this letter, or kind of take a look at this stuff. At least briefly. It may be something, because there's kind of a spectrum here. You may have, if somebody's making threats on the phone, or is making kind of provably incorrect statements. You may be dealing with a criminal matter on one end of the spectrum, or if it's just, opinions or campaigning, that's on the other end of the spectrum. It may be something that's more appropriate to deal with this person directly. Maybe a letter coming from me, kind of laying this stuff out, as opposed to doing something, in a newsletter or things like that. I understand why you would want to do that, but there are, I'd have to look at what exactly the statements were, but you want to be careful with that as well. My initial reaction is maybe it might be more appropriate just to deal with directly, depending on what those statements are and where it kind of falls in that spectrum. But maybe I can work with you, Bill, get some of that information, and maybe make a recommendation to the board on what if any action the board can take to address that.
Okay, this is Bill Whitcomb. Yeah, I'll give you a call and we'll talk offline on this. I'll pull some information together and we'll discuss that.
Yeah.
Thank you. So at this point, Gene, that discussion point looks like it's on hold until after I have some communication with Mr. Hill.
Okay. I have one other item came up today. We should pass a motion granting our additional 15 business days to complete the EAW review, which would put us past the next meeting time.
This is Bill Whitcomb. I would make a motion to that effect. We really don't have a choice in the matter. So I would move that motion.
Motion's been made to grant ourselves an additional 15 business days to complete the review. Is there a second?
I'll second that, Dan Hiller.
Mr. Hiller seconds. Is there any further discussion? If there is no further discussion, is there any further discussion? If there is no further discussion, we will vote on the motion to grant ourselves the additional 15 business days to complete the review. Mr. Duden.
Aye.
Mr. Hiller.
Aye.
Mr. Stokel, aye. Mr. Whitcomb.
Aye.
And Mr. Wilhelm.
Aye.
To make sure that on Thursday night at 6 o'clock we have a quorum, I think I will go to the town hall and be there with the county assessor or appraiser, whichever it is, for the Board of Appeal and Equalization. Let's make sure we have. I am the author or the qualified listener, basically. They run the meeting, but we have to have a quorum, either present or on Zoom. I will go to the town hall and meet with and have that person one end of the table and me at the other. If anybody comes in, we'll ask them to come in one at a time. Can I assure having more people available so we have a quorum?
This is Bill Whitcomb. I'll be calling in. And you said Zoom. Is it going to be on Zoom or is it going to be to this GoToMeeting site?
Can you we'll deal with Doug and get him to clarify it.
Okay. I have
That's
both
okay.
Zoom. I have both, so I just need to know which one to go to.
Okay. Okay, and I think because of that, we may ask Doug to not be there, so we don't subject any more of us than possible to any possible infections or whatever.
Okay, but I don't know. Hey,
Chairman?
Gene, I don't know how to run that meeting through the app.
Basically, all I do is call it to order, turn it over to the county assessors, and
Okay.
people come in and appeal. They take care of it the rest of the way. There's very little we have to do other than sit but we have to have a quorum.
All right, thank you. I'll be there.
I'll be on the phone call.
Thomas, is that you? Is that Thomas or?
Yes, correct.
Mr. Chairman,
Okay. So if we have
Mr. Chairman,
the three of us. What's that?
this is Doug. Can I clarify?
Yes.
Yeah, the meeting will be on this same room. Go to meeting. Same procedure. The difference is that the assessor will not be here. Will be on teleconference. So I will be here,
Oh,
and you'll be here
Everybody else will be teleconference except anyone appealing. So far, we have one person indicating an appeal. The assessor asked for advanced information from that person to help move the procedure along. If anyone else indicates they would want to appeal, I'm also asking them to deliver the information ahead of time to the assessor in order to move the issue along.
Okay, I will. We'll set it up tomorrow so we know exactly what we're doing. All right, thank you. Other business, road report, new hire. Mr. Hiller, would you like to introduce our new hire?
Actually, I believe that would be Bill's deal. I wasn't informed that. I don't know how to pronounce the gentleman's last name. I don't have that in front of me.
You were in on the interview, right? Okay.
I wasn't on the
Okay.
Okay, yeah. So our new hire, his name is Steve Flagger. It's not spelled at all like it
Say the last
sounds.
name again.
It's Flagger, but it's not spelled. It's Pleggaar. So he's the new hire. I worked with him today and yesterday a little bit, getting the boom mower all hooked up. So he was out today doing some of that work. The road grader, we're going to have to review the contract. Doug has it in the office. He made photocopies of it. It's the same price that we had last year with the same contractor. I asked 2 people. We only got 1 back. It would be with Steve Haas Construction. So that's who we have for the grader. And then we also have gravel quotes. I asked for 2 quotes. We only got 1 quote back, and that's also from Steve Haas to do our graveling this year. Are there any questions on those 2?
what is he charging an hour to run the grader?
It's with the 16-foot blade, it's $110 per hour and $15 with the packer, which does an excellent job on packing the roads and making them last longer. I know at the annual meeting, by going this route versus having our own grader and using our own equipment with all the costs that there is with repairs and whatnot, he saved us, I believe it was, if you spend it over the whole summer, around $5,000, I believe it was. I don't have that in front of me, but that's what I recall. We were spending on average around $21,000 a year for the grader.
Yeah, you're going off of 3 years of figures. You're not going off all of them, correct?
Well, that's all I have.
Are you looking?
That's all I was given.
No, I mean, if he's charging $125 an hour, that's more than reasonable in my opinion. But
Yeah.
So then, what are we going to do with our road grader? Are we going to leave that thing sit there too, or? I mean, if we're going to continue.
That's what was brought up earlier. I mean, it's up to the board with you guys. You know what everybody wants to do about it.
Let's table that one or push it up to next month.
Table which part?
The road grader. What to do with the road grader?
Okay.
I would say let's. I'll move to accept the contract for road grader and for gravel quotes. What was the gravel quote?
Gravel quote was $11.22 per yard.
I move that we accept the road grader contracting and the gravel quotes from Steve Haas or Haas. Is there a second?
I'd second that motion. Dan Heller.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Is there any further discussion? If there's no further discussion, we'll have a roll call. Mr. Duden.
Aye.
Mr. Hiller.
Aye.
Mr. Sokol is aye. Mr. Whitcomb.
Aye.
Mr. Wilhelm.
Aye.
Motion is carried 5-0. Seal coat and crack fill quotes.
So-
We put some money aside. I can't remember what the number is.
I've got it in
And
front
we
of
got
me.
a. What's that?
I've got it in front of me. We had budgeted
Okay.
40. We had budgeted with that budget about 49,000, and that was based off of my communication with a company last year, and knowing what we needed to do. We were gonna. The plan was to break up the township into 3 sections, so about 2 to 3 miles per year for pavement. I was hoping to get it about $1.10 per square yard, and I was working with the city on this, and our quotes came in this week at 82 cents a square yard, so we're saving about $10,000 on what we had originally planned. And what I'd like to do is put that remaining budget into more of the crack filling to keep the water from infiltrating into the subgrade. So we came up with a really good quote.
Was that a motion?
I was just telling you what the price came in at.
I would move the motion that Bill does take the 10,000 and put it towards the crack filling. Right now we've got low oil prices. We don't know what next year is going to bring.
I'd second that.
That was seconded by who?
Bill Whitcomb.
Okay. Motion has been made and seconded to seal coat and crack fill. Was that to use the entire 49,000? Is that the understanding?
No, we had budgeted 49,000, but it came in at. We had kind of figured we were going to use 42, but it came in at 32. So I'd want to use up to 42,000 for seal coating and chip sealing, or chip sealing and crack filling.
Okay, so you're looking at 42,000.
Yes, sir.
Clarify to make sure that we're understanding. And that was what the motion was. Okay, is there any further discussion? Is there any further discussion? If not, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Duden?
Aye.
Mr. Hiller?
Aye.
Mr. Stokel? Aye. Mr. Whitcomb?
Aye.
And Mr. Wilhelm?
Aye.
Thank you. That's passed by a 5-0 vote. Any logistics of the road review? We don't know when, who, and how to. We post notice. I think once we can actually get out and do this, we'll probably have to post notice as soon as we know when we can actually do it and move forward. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, so someone said we could still have it, have just different people in different vehicles. It's just, do we need to postpone it? I think we've already got it down. We've already have it set for the 25th. I think the notice has already gone out, but I'm just asking. I don't know.
is it
I think
dire that it gets done by the 25th, or what is it, May 4th? I believe the governor's stay-at-home deal is supposed to expire as long as it doesn't get extended. I mean,
No.
is it gonna hurt anything if we push it out a couple weeks and see what happens there? I mean, as far as posting, what do we got to post for 5 days to? Because there's going to be a quorum, or they got to just clarify that for me.
Yeah, that is the case. So if we have to have the 5-day posting, and it's not necessarily we do it April 25th. It's just traditional that we all go. Actually, I don't know how many times you've gone out. Last year it was just 2 of us, and from what I understand, it's. Gene, has it always been the full board? Has there just been 1 or 2 people typically?
Well, we had never had the full board go out until we found out through some of the legal process that it's supposed to be the whole board.
Okay.
Do we have the engineer go on that, or is that just the board members, or do we bring our engineer along with us on that one?
Well, we used to bring the engineer, and a few years ago we decided because we never would do anything with the roads, there was no reason to have the engineer come.
I'm
I think Bill's kind of working his butt
We would have the engineer come with.
I would think it would be a good idea to have the engineer come with. I mean, Bill's working his butt off trying to get the condition of our roads put together. I mean, having an engineer along with, he might look at something on the road where we're thinking it's major, and he says that's nothing to worry about. So, I mean, I know that's how the past board worked, but if we're going to move forward and try fixing up our roads, I think it'd be pertinent to have an engineer with and get their 2 cents on it myself.
I would agree 100. I would agree 100% with Dan. If nothing else, at least have him along on all the bituminous roadways.
So do we need to check with our road engineer, and see what his schedule is looking like to?
Yeah, I would be in communication with him on that if you guys are okay with that.
I would be in agreement with that. Check his schedule, see what works for him in May, and
Okay.
I think that's the smartest route to go myself.
That sounds like a good plan. He'd probably be a little bit more in line with when we can do it too.
Okay. Should I? Do we need a motion for that we're going to move it back? Because I think we've got it posted for the 25th somewhere.
I'd make the motion to postpone the put forward until it be determined.
Say that again, sir.
I said I'd make the motion to postpone the road review, date and time to be determined.
I'd second that.
And second?
Bill Whitcomb.
Bill seconded?
Yes.
Any further discussion? Is there any further discussion? If not, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of the motion to delay till later time, say aye. No, excuse me, Mr. Tooten.
Aye.
Mr. Hiller.
Aye.
Mrs. Sokol's aye. Mr. Whitcomb.
Aye.
And Mr. Wilhelm.
Aye.
Motion is carried 5-0. Is there any further business to come before the meeting?
I have a question, Dan Hiller. Since we are doing the go-to meeting app, the first part of that was free. Do we need to allocate funds to be paying for it? Because I believe now this is a subscription we have to pay for. Do we need to allocate funds to be paying for this, or?
Mr. Dahl,
I don't know.
can you answer that?
Well, I'd rather not pay for it myself all the time.
I thought the MAT was providing the Zoom.
No, it's we're at 15. What is it? $15 a month? So I think 19. I think $19 a month.
I'm sorry, could you say that again? Was that $19 a month?
Yeah. Well, let me verify that. Yeah, the first month charge was $19 plus tax, so $20.41. We ran out of our 15-day free trial.
Dan Hiller makes the motion to allocate funds for up to 3 months subscription to GoToMeeting.
Is there a second?
Thomas Dillon, I would second that.
For expediency. Dan Hiller made a motion to the 3 months of GoToMeeting fee. Seconded. Is there discussion? Is there any further discussion? If not, Mr. Duden?
Aye.
Mr. Hiller?
Aye.
Mr. Sokol? Aye. Mr. Whitcomb?
Aye.
And Mr. Wilhelm?
Aye.
Motion is carried. Is there any further business to come before the meeting? If not, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Are we gonna skip the MAT training available online on our?
Is there any?
That was just one I threw on there too, just to remind everybody. I don't know that. I'm hoping Dan Hiller and John, if you're getting text messages or emails from Matt, that information should have been out there for you. But they are doing sessions online about tree trimming. There's a bunch that came out. Some of it was last week, but you can go to it at a later date. That's just a reminder. Are you guys getting those emails?
Yeah, I did get it. I could not make Friday's meeting. They had one Friday afternoon. They are charging for those online courses. Is that something if we sign up to pay for, or are we going to get reimbursed from the township, or what? I would assume that once this is lifted. Okay, I wasn't sure on that.
So, Doug, do we just submit a claim to you then for that?
Yeah,
that would be reimbursed by the township.
The claim form I sent out for tonight, for this month's meetings, also has expenses, the category on there, and can go on.
Thank you.
I'm going to try to wait to see if they have an in-person meeting. I would rather go down there in person than sit and stare at a computer screen. So if they have one of them coming up, once everything's lifted, I'm going to do my best to get down to one of the hands-on trainings down there. So,
How very last millennium of you.
Any further discussion? If not, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
so moved. Dan Hiller.
Another motion to adjourn.
Second, Bill Whitcomb.
Motion's made and second to adjourn. Mr. Duden.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Vocals aye. Mr. Whitcomb.
Aye.
Wilhelm.
Aye.
Motion's carried. We are adjourned.